their seats, please and thank you. We are now at 5 o'clock. Yes, everybody on the committee is here. So, sorry, I'm trying to pull up Assembly myself. What do we start with? Sorry. Need approval of the minutes for the July 28th, 2026 Policy and Governance Committee meeting.
Move approval of those minutes. Second.
All in favor of the approval of the July 28th, 2026 Policy and Governance Committee meeting? Aye. Okay, approved. Okay, starting with Policy Primers, June 2026. So first of all, we have a change at, for 2010, 210.05 meeting notice, change requirements to providing notice to the public, the sample policy that reflects those changes. Moving on, continuing, sorry. Then there's a change in the public examination of public records, 901. It is about vexatious persons and adding that standard to it. My understanding of vexatious is people that repeatedly ask and ask and ask and ask again. So, but I don't know how you put a number on it, so that's always going to be the interesting one.
I'm just curious about that, since you're the person who has to deal with that the most. Do you feel like it's clear, like a clear standard, or is it going to be just like?
It's funny because I actually did some research on it today because I thought there might be someone who potentially made that great. I just,
Yeah.
not that like in the future, like we
Right.
may get to that
Mhm.
point, and I was just curious, like, is there a definition of that? And I didn't get a real clear understanding, I think.
Ellers has issued a client alert on that, and Kristen, you wouldn't know because Kim forwarded it
Yep.
to the board the other day, but
Yeah.
I think it's still going to be case by case, and
I do, and I don't think we're there or have seen that, but I do feel like, it, potentially down the road, we have a lot of data collection requests that we get, and from like other, external, other states and things like that, so.
I remember that. For some reason, I distinctly remember people discussing it when it came to the books. That when all the bills on books in the classrooms were coming through. Anyway, moving on to, sorry. From House File 2501, Conduct of Elections, Board of Director elections changed the school board candidates filing from the district school board secretary to the county auditor of that district. So Kim, next fall, you won't be getting visitors.
You're right, I won't be
Sorry.
here.
Well, you won't be here. Well, you won't be getting visitors either way. Kim 2.0 will be getting visitors. Then moving on to 603.01, Basic Instruction Program, amended code, Iowa Code to remove the language multicultural and gender fair to global perspectives shall be incorporated into all levels of educational program. Sample policy reflects those changes. 607.01, Student Guidance Counseling Program, updated requirements for counseling programs by requiring programs designed by guiding counselors in collaboration with parents, guardians, students, teachers, support staffs, and administrators to support schools' curricular goals. So this goes back to the 603.4 and 603, yeah, that's written twice. Multicultural gender fair education, that is rescinded policy based on this. I like the way this is set up with House files for it. So House File 2676, Iowa's Make America Healthy Again. Anybody that wants to say, hey, Mitch, stop, I want to talk about anything, please let me know, because I'm just going to go through them like this for the time being. Make Healthy Again, updated requirements measuring the physical fitness of students who are physically able by using the Presidential Fitness Test. Technology and instructional materials requires limitations on digital instruction and development of one-to-one digital device programming. Then we have 605, this is a new one, 605.04E1. What a title. Technology and instructional matrix materials exhibit requires districts to adopt technology adoption checklist that is retained by the district and made available to Iowa Department of Education. Then 713, responsible technology use and social networking. requires districts to comply with certain compliance requirements and applicable laws that govern technology use. This policy was updated to evidence the district's compliance. Then we go on to House File 2754, open enrollment transfers, and in our policy it's 501.15. Modified reporting requirements for denying an open enrollment request and updated definitions of individual private instruction and criteria. The changes in this sample policy are reflective of those changes. 604.01, private instruction, updated definitions of independent private instruction and criteria. Verification, this is under Senate File 2218, verification of employee identity. It's changed to our policy 401.01, equal employment opportunity, requires school districts to screen for employment eligibility prior to employment. Policy was updated to reflect that language. These ones, I thought they were interesting. I sat in on session on it, but the changes to the Gifted and Talented program under Senate File 2220. First one is 6004.03. Program for Gifted and Talented requires school districts to use a uniform procedures to screen, identify, and serve gifted and talented students. 604.03R1, which is also part of this, specifies elements that can and should be considered when creating uniform procedures that schools adopt when they screen and identify and serve students. I believe this is for both math and English language arts. Am I correct? Sorry, Executive Director Degner, sorry. Yeah.
It actually just incorporates like quantitative reasoning, qualitative reasoning to just talented and gifted in general.
Okay. I think sometime, probably in the spring, Justin, I bring that back to the board.
We actually, part of this policy, we do have to
Okay.
bring it back, just achievement results yearly, so we do plan to include our, it's called Talented and Gifted, we call it Extended Learning Program, often referred to as TLP. We will be talking about that in our annual progress report.
Awesome.
And incorporate that from moving forward.
Thank you. Senate File 2231, protected free speech, and this is 502.03. Student expression and student publications, addresses student free speech. Sample policy was updated to make the district consistent with applicable laws and regulations that align with current free speech interpretation. Then 604.05, religious-based exclusion from school program. This is going under free speech. The sample policy was updated to reflect that district makes decisions consistent with applicable laws and regulations that align with current free speech interpretation. And then there were some miscellaneous ones, administration of medication, and stock prescription medication. These were both, again, to be consistent with language that's needed. So now that we are done with June 2026 policy primer edits, does anybody have any questions? Okay. Move on to August 2026 policy primer. It's much shorter. So if you have any questions, this is probably the bigger, I'm sure some of these policies in this last one were big for some, but this is probably some of the larger changes. The August 2026 policy primer updates, the IASB adopted language to the disruptive behavior policies to add additional clarification and consideration based on the Iowa Department of Education's guidelines. Guidance, not guidelines. Given the significance and the impact of this complexity of legislation, many of its provisions require further analysis. IASB will continue to keep district appraised of further guidance and rulemaking from the Department of Ed that may impact policy and accompany regulations. So the first one is the 503.11, disruptive behavior. Language was added and language was removed. I'm just going to go through the language that's added to go through the way the policy will read. Each attendance center within the school district must create an oversight committee that is responsible for developing building level policy regulation that establishes when a student who has been removed from the classroom for violent or nonviolent disruption may be readmitted to the classroom. Then go ahead, Charlie, go.
Do we have an idea when we're going to try to get buildings to have these committees in place and work them?
Yeah, they can talk about it, but they've already done so.
Yeah, buildings already have committees in place.
do?
We worked with ICEA to develop a process by which they could nominate and select, and those are in place, and then they actually met and came up with policy and are sending those over to our department for like just safe holding.
I appreciate the work with ICA, the partnership there, and they ran the process, and Nathan got back to the building principals last week on who was nominated.
Yep,
and
right at 9. Yep, they got it right at 9 a.m. and
it Started right out of the gate.
ready to go.
Thank you.
Okay. Good, Charlie?
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. 503.11R1 disruptive behavior removal procedures. This policy will read to say is the building level policy of Iowa City Schools to implement procedures and removal and remittance of students as a result of violent and nonviolent behavior. Specific considerations and all applicable legal requirements must be observed when addressing disciplinary actions and readmittance decisions involving students with individualized education plans and 504 plans. Sorry tonight. To continue on, the language added under multiple nonviolent disruption removals, this is language added. If a student is removed from the teacher's classroom 2 or more times in a trimester, then the principal will discipline the student with one of the following manners: assigning the student to either in-school or out-of-school suspension, or recommend to the superintendent the student be relocated in an alternative learning environment that has been approved by the superintendent. And then finally, and there is removal and discipline of students with disabilities under any of these categories must comply with the provisions of applicable federal and state law.
I have a question about the first added paragraph at the top of that policy, which is at the beginning of the second sentence, it says specific considerations and all applicable legal requirements must be observed when addressing disciplinary actions and readmittance decisions for students with IEPs and for 504 plans. I don't know, that phrase specific considerations doesn't mean anything specific to me, and I'm wondering if it does to building level staff. Like, I'm concerned that it's not adequate. 'Cause I don't know what it is.
Jennifer, can you show me?
It's
Again, which
it's
page?
It's the very first
Yeah,
one.
the top paragraph in 503, second sentence, that begins specific considerations.
Yeah, I can maybe guess as to what specific considerations mean, but I don't think it probably means anything. I mean, it means,
You can follow the plan is, I
Yeah.
think, what it's trying to
Right.
say is that there's going to be very specific things to a student's needs written in the plan, and so those specific considerations and all the legal requirements would be something that we would need to do.
but it's legal requirements, the IEP is, so it's kind of redundant, so I don't know if it means anything outside of that.
The way I had interpreted it was the legal requirements was kind of like IDEA, and the specific considerations was kind of like those
Exactly
specific
what's
exact
written in the plan.
accommodations or pieces unique to that child, whereas IDEA, like this IDEA supersedes 2428, but then like when you're thinking about a student-specific IEP, it may say something that would contradict with what the law would.
That makes, I mean, I have a better understanding, and I'm wondering if it might be helpful to just make that phrase specific considerations like directly modify something else, or, like more directly connected to something that it's clear that it's the specific considerations of that individual
Like say
student's IEP.
specific accommodations and.
Or, specified in that student's
IEP, right.
Something like that. I just, since this is all new and we're all trying to figure it out,
I will say a little concerned about just saying IEP, because I thought somewhere else in this policy, or maybe a different one, it also references a 504.
It does in that sentence.
Yeah, so it's
In
not
that
just
sentence, yeah.
necessarily an IEP.
yeah, I
it's
was
also
just
gonna be
shortening
a-
it, but yeah, that's in there, for sure.
Is there anything else? And I can't remember because I wasn't there, but did we go over what in the past what a nonviolent or violent disruption is, or discussed that at all?
It's specified.
Yeah, I believe it's specified, so.
I don't remember which policy number.
It's actually just right below it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Breaks them down.
Oh, yeah. I know, I just read that.
So, I know it's just putting more in the parking lot, which I like to do, but something to go over with the board as a presentation or discussion at some point when the law finally gets narrowed down, to let the public know what this policy is actually going to translate into the classroom or into the district. If that or building, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think we can come back and either
Yeah.
in a future work session or even a board education
Yeah.
committee meeting and have a discussion around it. This, I think, is gonna continue to evolve,
Mhm.
and we just have lots of questions still coming, and some we're able to answer and some we're getting into the attorney's hands.
Yeah.
I do wanna share my appreciation with the Department of Ed, because they issued not only a July set of guidance around it, but then they came back August 18th and now have issued additional guidance. So I just went back to see when IASB released this update in August, and they sent it to us on August 11th. So
Yeah.
even after IASB's updated it, the state continues to do it, which I really appreciate them providing as much guidance to us as possible.
What I would like to know a little bit more on is, as the trimester evolves, the limit of 2, and what that starts to look like for the buildings and the office staff, and who's having to take on the added students throughout the day.
And I just want to kind of bounce off of what you just said about the limit of group 2 times.
Yeah.
That's specific to nonviolent disruption, and then there isn't a similar number associated with what to do in.
It's just, it's 2 removals of either type. So it could be 2 of one or 1 of 1.
Well, it's specifically stated under nonviolent disruption removals. Oh, I see, it's in the next section down.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, okay. Thank you.
No, you figured it out yourself. Oh, good. Kristen whispered it to you, I got it. Okay, if there are any questions, unless there's any questions, I'm going to move on to the 100 series changes. This one was just pretty much updated contact information across the entire time. There's added on 104.G1, say something campaign, added discrimination incidents for reporting. Otherwise, it's just updating contact information of who to contact. So unless anybody has questions or comments on it, I think we're pretty good on that one. Okay. So our next policy and governance committee meeting will be let's see, it'd be the 3rd Tuesday. I need to open up my calendar, unless you got it open.
The 4th would be the 27th.
27th,
22nd.
22nd. I feel like that's a homecoming week for one of the high
I'm looking at
schools.
October, sorry.
Okay. So Monday's a no school day, and then we will have a board meeting the next day on the 22nd. So,
I will be on the phone.
that's fine. So,
I love the 200 series.
the 200 series. So if anybody has any questions or thoughts on the 200 series, on anything that they'd like to see changed or might need changed, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm looking for a motion from the floor for adjournment.
We adjourn.
All in favor? Aye.